I mean, it starts with female representation. I mean, it took Taylor Swift to kind of get people interested in female pe female
Female people.
viewership. Yes, female people. Oh my God. Um, female viewers to be interested. And because it's not about, honestly, I don't think it's about the game sometimes as so much as like who's there watching. Is there obviously there's the aesthetic component. Steering away from the NFL, I feel like it's telling a story. Like if you think about going back to skating, like Michelle Kwan, like we haven't had a Michelle Kwan in
Hmm.
over 20 years because first of all, she dominated. Like she was, you know, eight or
So
nine time
badass.
US champion, like went to multiple world championships and Olympic games. But it's the story. Like I think they invested a lot more money, TV networks in doing little like vignettes on athletes. I had a bit of that like in my early career, like when there was still money in the sport. They would take before you even perform on TV, they would do like a 5 minute vignette of like telling your story of like you during the off season and like what are your interests. And I've talked to like fans and I've talked to people who watch skating and they're just like that's what made it, and fellow
Yeah.
skaters as well, they're like that's what made it interesting and that's what
Hmm.
made the viewer get like invested in the athlete. And there's also a way to do it. I think it's important not to like sexualize women in, especially in skating. I think it happens quite often. It's so traditional in that sense where you have girls wearing like very little. So like you don't want that kind of attention. There's a way to do it where it's just highlighting, who they are and, their dedication to the craft and their methods of how to, be the best.
I think that's a really important insight
Yes.
because one thing that I tell people a lot about my relatively new sports fandom is that it's the sports documentaries like the Hard Knocks and those kinds of
Yeah.
things where I'm learning about the guys, and that's what gets me motivated to watch their game. And so you're talking about something very specific, which is connection to the human. And also the storytelling then that happens in your competition or in the playing of the sport, right? So now that we
Hmm.
know you, we know what story you are telling or coming to the stage with, and there is so much more at stake for you and the viewer. And
Yeah.
that's exciting.
Look at like Drive to Survive. Like so many non-Formula One fans are now Formula One fans, and
Yep.
it's all about building these characters. Like you gotta, and I think the only way to do that is to like, because there's not that many competitions talking to figure skating. Like there's just not enough competitions to get to know the athlete. So you need to rely on these kind of like extra little stories, side stories. But unfortunately, I think there's just like a lack of money, and there's the TV networks have so many options.
Right.
If they're going to spend $20 million on a contract on TV rights, they have a lot more on their plate than they did like 25 years ago, right?
Hmm.
It's funny you mentioned that they don't do that in skating more because I feel like it might be the same for a lot of other sports as you mentioned that, where I feel like they used to do a lot more vignettes, even with gymnastics, even with NFL, they used to do some of these stories at the start of the season, and
Hmm.
now that airtime has to go to advertisements. That
Hmm.
airtime has to go to something else because in some ways we do actually need to monetize every single second now. And what they've done is actually they've foregone the storytelling, and so these other venues like a Netflix or somewhere else has taken over to do the storytelling. And to honestly put it explicitly, that's what Pallavi and I are also the most interested in when it comes to sports. It is this storytelling piece of it, and how do we amplify the stories of these incredible humans that
Hmm.
in so many ways are very easy to objectify when we see them on our screen.
Yeah, they're just bodies
They're
otherwise, you
just
know.
bodies, and they're a point system, and they're a
Hmm.
whatever, and then on to the next. I think it does help me anyway, I will say, appreciate what I'm seeing, even if it's for 3 minutes and a 3 minute program.
Yeah,
Okay, wait, we need
yeah.
to segue because we're talking about money.
Yes, let's
And
talk about it.
you are now a retired athlete. And there has just been, I think, a lot of stuff out there about how poorly several athlete retirees tend to do with their finances. And so I'm curious, like, how did you start thinking about that and planning for your post-athletic future?
I have to like give all the credit to my parents. They were quick to figure out we need to reach into our like network of friends to find somebody who can help Patrick manage, what he does with his prize money and what he does with his endorsement money. And skating is an extremely, extremely expensive sport. It's like, you know, Olympic season, my parents probably spent 150K plus a
Wow.
year in just like physiotherapy, training, paying for the coach, paying for ice, fees, whatever. Um, Eating well, like good good
Nutrition,
food
coach,
is
right?
Yeah.
expensive.
Hmm.
Supplements are expensive. And so my parents like took like line of credits out and paid for skating because it's one of those things where it's kind of sad because when you need the money, when you're coming up through the sport and you need the money, there's none to be found. And then when you have success and you win the world championships and you're like the top of Canada in your field, then all the money starts flooding in. But you're getting endorsement money at that point. You're probably doing in skating, we have professional tours you can do to make extra money. And um, so I got like a lot of funding just like at the wrong time. And
Hmm.
like I'm one of the lucky ones where it's like my parents made it work just long enough until boom, like it all the funding kicked in, right? But you're right, a lot of athletes have no clue what to do with the money. Now I'm in like financial advising, so I'm in wealth planning. And that was kind of like one of my drivers was like thank God I had someone, my parents had been in touch with the right person who like set up trust accounts and whatnot and moved things around, created a corporation to like put things to the side to defer taxes until like at a later point when I like right now where I'm like going to school and I have higher expenses. I'm not making as much money as I used to, but it gave me that cushion to like because this day my parents knew this day would come and so did like everybody else in my financial like advisors. They knew that like at some point this like journey of figure skating is going to end and I need to have a nice like rainy day fund for the
Hmm.
pandemic. Like thank God I like that was all in place for all the expenses that kept going through the pandemic. I didn't have a job. I wasn't doing shows to make money. And then now as a parent of two, like I'm no longer going on tour. I'm not skating professionally. Like, and I'm really pursuing this new career, which is going to take me 5 years of making like half of what I used to make, I guess.
Hmm.
But I can like comfortably like sleep at night knowing that, everything was taken care of. But that's, I think, very unique. I don't
Yeah.
think that parents like I know I have fellow skaters whose parents didn't pay a single dime and they're working at Starbucks
Right.
before they go to practice and then they will go back to Starbucks or they will go to the next job after practice to pay for
Wow.
skating, right? So,
Hmm.
my parents struggled, but luckily like it paid off. Yeah.
I know we have to let you go soon, but in your
Oh no, how
retirement,
good.
something super exciting is happening in your retirement now, and that is you are about to get inducted into Canada's Sports Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You guys are both Canadian, so I don't know what that really means. Like in the US, I feel like we have halls of fame for specific sports, and
Sports.
yours
Yeah.
is just like the Hollywood Walk of Fame of Canadian athletes, I guess.
Correct. Yeah,
Well,
that's
it's like we
exactly
have
it.
like we have like the Order of Canada, which is like I would equate it to like maybe the Medal of Freedom. Is that what it's called in the
Oh,
US? Where like when Barack Obama like gave it to Oprah, like
uh-huh.
that's like that's the equivalent of the Order of Canada. So this is like the Order of Sport. So it has like a bit of that like you did your job or you did your duty as like an ambassador to your country. I find it actually more special to me than like the Olympics because I can really like, first of all, I appreciate it a lot more as an adult, like
Mm.
this achievement, because it's just made me reflect on like all the things that happened in my the good, the bad, and the things I might have wanted to change. But at the end of the day, it's like I have such an appreciation for the people that like were with me along with in that journey that I kind of feel sad. It's a double-edged sword. I kind of feel sad about this because it makes me feel guilty that I kind of like experienced some amazing things without really appreciating the people that like helped me get there. Because you're just so like you're so into yourself and you're like a jerk most of the time to
Well,
people
you're
that are
young.
actually,
You're so young
yeah,
through this whole thing.
exactly. And so now I'm just like it's just like another reminder of just like, wow, I'm really grateful for the people that really loved me unconditionally and wanted me to succeed. And I'm so proud to be a Canadian. Like my parents, like I said, coming and immigrating here and feeling feeling like they could help me chase my dreams, of going to the Olympics. So yeah, just eternally grateful.
I
I
mean,
mean,
that's
I gotta say,
huge.
he truly kind of loves Patrick Chan. Like,
I
I
have no
I'm
doubt
not
about
even
it.
kidding. I will never forget. It was my daughter's second birthday party, and Patrick came with his kiddo, with his wife, and there were like whispers, murmurs happening at this party as the kids are playing in a playground. And then Patrick leaves, and like six people approach me, and they're like, "Was that Patrick Chan at this birthday party?" And I was like, "Oh." Yeah, like he's just, he's just Patrick to me, but yeah, that's him. And people just really like lit up, truly lit up. It is an incredible milestone, an incredible point of reflection. It reminded me of that saying when what is it? Youth is wasted on the young, where
Yeah.
it's just like it's completely
Yeah.
wasted because you don't feel the gratitude when it's right there happening for you.
Yeah.
Um, and I really can't wait until you become like a statue and a stamp
Yes.
on a stamp for Canada Post.
Maybe you'll choose the costume on your statue.
Yeah. I'll design that.
Well, I mean, you're such a lovely and now like reflective and humble person, but this is a huge deal. I mean, you've had an enormous career, and this is just a tremendous honor to achieve. So I don't know. I think you're downplaying the importance of what you have accomplished for not only Canada, but for the sport and for the Olympics.
Thank you.
So
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you so much
Truly.
for being here.
Well, we have one last question, Patrick, that we love to ask each guest. And P, I know it's your favorite question, so I'll let you go ahead and ask this one over to Patrick.
What does your sports fandom look like now? Are you a fan of anything specific? What are you not missing watching?
Oh, I mean, I'm a huge hockey fan. Like that's my number one. I play it. I follow it. I'm a Leafs fan. So
Ugh.
Leafs!
Sorry. Sorry, I just got something in my throat.
this is the year. This is the year.
All you Canadian fans say that every year.
And then Boston will kill your dream. Just
Yes,
gonna
exactly. Or Florida,
Yeah, yeah.
like a market that just does not care about hockey.
I know.
Um,
It's weird and unnatural.
yeah, no, hockey's number one as a true Canadian. I'm a huge tennis fan. I love the Grand Slams. Golf a little bit. I like to play golf. Watching, I just like to have it in the background.
It's great taking
Um,
a golf nap. Golf naps are the best.
yes, yeah, done that many times. And like Formula One is like another one. Like I just love cars and I love racing. I love just the smell of fuel. So
Yes, these are all the most poetic sports, I think.
and expensive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. They're the bougie ones.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Patrick,
amazing.
truly, thank you. I know you're slammed. You got a lot going on. I really appreciate you.
Taking the time with us, and thank you for being
That
our
was lots of
first.
fun.
Oh,
That
I'm
was lots
so
of fun.
glad. I'll never forget you using the phrase horny teenager. That's just gonna go down for me. But thank you for being our first guest ever, and thank you for bouncing off with us.